What's up, YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back here in 2022. First video of the new year, and we're going to start it off with a little multi-denominational coin roll hunt. And they're going to be customer wrap rolls, no less. Well, I wanted to say thank you guys for coming back to the channel. It is 2022. If it's your first time finding me, do please consider going down below and clicking on that subscribe button so you get notified whenever I drop a new video. And hey, if you do end up liking this video, don't forget to drop down below here and click on that like button. Today, we'll be hunting a little bit of everything. Nickels, dimes, quarters, pennies. I'm going to take a second and get these things separated, and we're going to start with the quarters and work our way down. As we go through each denomination, I will let you know what we're looking for. So, here we go. Okay, so just to give you guys a heads up, we have $70 worth of quarters we're going to go through, $110 worth of dimes, $22 worth of nickels, and $27.50 worth of pennies. We are going to get started first here with the quarters. I will say this with each denomination, but down below this video, there is a link to a Google document that has everything in it that we'll be looking for today. It's got a lot of the same or similar information that you might find on, say, Rob Finds Treasures coin roll hunting mats, but I've put it in a Word document because it's just easier for me to follow that way, and I don't have any of his mats. But to recap quickly, we are looking for silver, which would be anything 1964 and earlier. We are looking for W's, which would be specific coins from 2019 and 2020 with a W mint mark on them. And then there's a whole host of errors from the state quarter sets. Some of the common ones would be the leaky bucket or the extra cactus or the spitting horse. And if we find any of those things, we will go into some detail under the microscope with you. If we find nothing, this will go very, very quickly, and we'll move on to the dimes. So one of the things I like to do, especially when I have customer wrap rolls, is to weigh them up front just to see if I have anything that might be light or heavy to indicate whether or not maybe we've got some rolls that are stuffed with pennies or dimes. Or perhaps if we might get lucky and find something that's got something silver in it. I can tell you 233.6 is a little bit high. I don't know what's going to be in it, but I figured we would roll that or unroll this one together because I think typically like 227, 228 grams is pretty typical. It could just be there's a lot of gunk on these coins. I do know from the very first roll I opened, I had a lot of green coins. I don't know what that's from. But just because that was heavy, I thought I would open this together. And we've got so much gunk on these, I don't know what it could be. So I'm just going to go through them, and I will bring you in if there's something special in here. Look at that. We got a purple one. Somebody painted it. Isn't it pretty? So in that roll, we discovered the extra weight. We actually made out we're 25 cents ahead. Customer wrap roll was overstuffed. So we got one extra quarter. Can't beat that, up 25 cents. So we're on roll number 3, and I have a Homestead Quarter under the scope. It's not a great DDR, but you'll see here on this window just above the pump, we've got some spreading here in this second row of windows. I checked it out on Variety Vista, and this is the closest one I found, but this is their, what is this? This is the DDR 88. I don't think there's a lot of value here, but you can see we have a very similar spread here on the second window. So I'm going to call this a find. From last time I looked on eBay, these do not go for a whole lot of money. If I can find something recently sold, I'll drop it in the video right here. But it's still a find. It's a DDR, just not a lot of value in it. All right, so that gets us through the quarters. Just as a quick recap, we did end up with 2 bicentennial quarters. Out of 7 rolls, that's not so bad. We did have that one variety, that double die reverse Homestead Quarter. Not worth a lot of money, but something I'll hang on to. And then I did just pull one of the nicer 2021 crossing the Delaware quarters instead of that original extra quarter that I showed you. I just think it's one of the most beautiful designs on a quarter to date. That'll probably just go back in the bin, but if I was going to show you an extra quarter, that's what it was. So in 7 rolls of quarters, we're up 25 cents plus a variety and 2 bicentennials. Now we're going to get to the dimes. We mainly hunt this for silver, which is going to again be if we get lucky and find any San Francisco silver proofs or anything 1964 or earlier. There are a couple of other interesting things that we want to look for, which is the 1996 W, right? There is a 67 Philadelphia double die obverse, a 1968 Philly double die reverse. The 1970, I think we're looking for a proof there. That's got a DDR. And then there is a 1982 Philadelphia with no mint mark on it. And then there's a 2004 double ear. It's really hard to look at these. I don't know if I'm going to look for all those, but if I do happen to find something interesting, I will bring you guys in. So really quickly, like before, I weighed these up really quickly. I've gone through the first roll and we didn't find anything. And then as I was restuffing it, I decided I would weigh it to see what our normal weight would be, which is right around 114 grams, 114.1 grams. So as I restuff these, I can weigh them and make sure I've got the right number of coins in there. But as I went through and weighed all my coins, I have a number of them that are kind of in the high 114s. I have a bunch that are right there at 114.0, 0.1, 0.2. And then I have a bunch that are really underweight, like 109, 110. So these guys all may be short a dime or something else is going on. So I'm real interested to see these two ends here, but I'm going to start going through these because I have a feeling these will be the boring ones because they're right on weight. We just got into roll number 4, and I've already taken a peek, but hopefully you can see that in the camera. I had a real silvery edge. I got really excited about it, but when I opened it up, we actually found our first foreign dime of the hunt. This is a 10-cent Canadian piece. Super shiny. But it is a 2011 Canadian penny. Or I'm sorry, Canadian dime. We'll put it up on the board as a find. It is a foreign, but we are now light 1 dime. So we just went through roll 8, and I was repacking it, and as I did, I found 1 dime that looked a little suspicious, and I've got it under the scope here for you. It is a 1993 Philly. Hang on, let me get my microphone a little closer over here. Sorry if that was loud. A 1993 Philly, and it is a double rim. Look how bad this thing is. It is an off-center strike. Look at how pronounced that rim is. Now, I did some quick research and reading. I don't think, especially in this condition, you can see all of the crud and whatnot on this dime. It's not in great shape, but I'm going to hang on to this. This is actually a pretty cool looking dime. Is that a 3? I think it's a 1993. I was going to say, is that a 5? But it's a 1993. But look at that off-center strike. From a quick look on the internet, I mean, I found somebody on Etsy wanting like 10 grand for one of these. It's not worth $10,000. What I did find, though, was in some coin communities, people saying this coin was only worth about 10 or 12 or 15 cents. Maybe even not even anything more than a dime. More than a dime. That would be 10 cents. But I'm going to do a little bit more research. I'm going to definitely pull this aside because I think this is a pretty cool looking dime. And I don't think I have anything like this. So that's the reverse, of course. But look at that double rim. Pretty cool. If you guys know anything about this dime, let me know in the comments down below. Maybe I do have something worth quite a bit more than that. But I'm not thinking so based on a quick, 2-minute search of the internet. So I'm going to put this aside, and we'll keep hunting. So we have finished going through the dimes, and we ended up being, this is almost a full roll right here. We were 9 dimes short here. We have 2 that we are keeping because they're off-center strike, so technically we were 7 dimes short here. And had these 4 other coins been dimes, it means we only would have been 3 dimes short. Unfortunately, we are 7. So if you count this penny, we were 69 cents short in our dimes because the Canadian coins are worthless here in the U.S. I have a little bag of Canadian. I'll hang on to these. And I'll have to find some dimes to make this roll whole again. But nothing too special. I think right now in these off-center, if I could get $1 or $2 for them on eBay, it'd make it all worth it. But I'll just hang on to these. And if you guys know anything about how better to value an off-center strike dime, please let me know in the comments down below. With that said, I'm going to go into the nickels, and we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We got about 11 rolls of nickels to get through before we get to the massive haul of $27 worth of pennies. So let's jump into those nickels. So I've got the first roll of nickels out, and I thought I would stop here real quick if you're new to coin roll hunting. What we're looking for in the nickels is 1942 through 1945. Those are war nickels. And 42 is a split year, so some are silver and some are not. But we are looking for silver war nickels, 35% silver. Outside of that, we're mainly looking for 40s and 50s nickels, and anything earlier than that, then you get into V nickels and buffalo nickels. And I do have a book that I've been trying to fill from my nickel hunts. I've done a really, really good job. When you get into the later years, I am only missing the proofs. But when we get back, and this probably is a little too big for the camera, I'm just going to take a quick look here. I am missing from the earlier years. I need a 1958, 51 D and S, a 50D, a 49S, a 48S, a 47S, and then a whole bunch of the silver, which I have these, but I've just never found them coin roll hunting. So I guess I can move that up. Nearly all of the war nickels I'm missing from coin roll hunting, but I've bought a bunch of them. I didn't want to fill this book from coins that were bought. And then I'm missing a bunch in the 38s and 39s and a 40D. So I am mainly missing the early, late 30s and early 40s and a couple in the 50s. So that's another reason why I will specifically be focusing on the 40s and 50s stuff. And I will bring you in if we find any of that good stuff. Or anything earlier, or any war nickels. This first roll, just looking at the edges, I don't think we're going to have anything, but of course I'm going to go through each and every nickel. We were 3 rolls in, getting through them, and we actually had back-to-back finds here. I've already looked at them, but I thought I'd bring you in. We did end up with a 1939 Philly. Unfortunately, I needed the Denver, and I did check it. There was no DDOs or DDRs on that one. And we have a 1954 Denver, and I believe that one has a repunched mint mark, and it is not a repunched mint mark on that coin. So still 2 finds. I'll put them up here and keep them aside. These were all junk, but still pretty cool to find some 30s and 50s nickels and customer wrapped rolls. We are on our 6th to the last roll of nickels, and we came across our next find. It's actually a really nice looking 1948 Philadelphia. So we are on our last roll. I did find a couple of additional nickels that I didn't bring you in on earlier. There was an additional 1939, but it was in pretty sad shape. And I did find a second 1954, but and it was, I believe, also a Philly. And since it was a duplicate, I didn't bring you in. However, going through this final roll, I did find something else really interesting. Look how badly off-center this nickel is struck. Now, I haven't looked this up yet, and I will do so, but I wanted to quickly grab you guys and bring you in. The reverse also looks a little wonky. The rim's not properly done. Let's put this under the scope real quick so you guys can see just how bad off this rim is. Look at that. I mean, the nickel's in pretty horrible condition, especially on the reverse. It is a 1985 Philly. You can see just how bad the rim is on this side. It's cut off most of the word Liberty. The reverse is pretty chewed up too. But anyway, I'm going to give this a quick look online, see what I can find, and see if there's anything interesting to be had here. So I don't think mine's quite as severe as this one, but here is an example from eBay of a 1985 off-center strike nickel. His looks to be, or hers, whoever this is, Township Coins, appears to be in a little bit better condition than mine, but they were able to get $9.50 plus $4 shipping, so this could turn out to be a pretty interesting coin. It's definitely a find, and we're going to hang on to it. And if you know anything about this coin, like I've said in the previous clips, let me know in the comments down below. A little bit later on in that last roll, we did come across a 1941, it looks like. 41 Philly. So we are up to the pennies. But before we crack into those rolls, just a quick recap. We did find a couple of 1939s. We found a 1941, a 1948, two 1954s, and of course, that off-center 1985. I already checked my book. None of these are upgrades or fillers for my album, so most of these will go back in the bin. Actually, all those will go back in the bin, except for this off-center strike, because that's kind of an interesting coin. I'm going to hang on to this, put it in a flip, regardless of what it's worth, because I think it's kind of a neat find. And the name of today's video is going to have something with off-center in it, because we have found two off-center dimes and an off-center nickel. So let's get on to these pennies. So I just finished going through my first roll of pennies, and I thought I would stop here and remind you to go check out that document I have linked in my description below. It's a Google Doc, and down on, I don't know, page 5 or 6 or 7, somewhere, it's a pretty deep document. It'll show you all the pennies that you're looking for DDOs, DDRs, double ears, close AMs, wide AMs, all those things. They are, if I find anything, I will bring you in and let you know, explain those things a little bit more, but a lot of them are exactly what they sound like, a wide AM and a close AM. It has to do with the AM in America on the back of the penny, double ears, or when you have double ears on Lincoln, so on and so forth. So they're pretty self-explanatory. The other main thing we'll be hunting for is wheat pennies, which is anything I believe before 1957 or 8. And copper. So copper started in 1982 and earlier, right? So 82 is a split year. You do have to weigh them. So if you do not have some sort of digital scope, I recommend you get one. I also have a link for my Amazon affiliate account down below this video, and this is the one that I use. I can't remember. It wasn't very expensive, but it does grams, ounces, troy ounces. I believe DWT. I can't even remember what that stands for. I mainly use the troy ounce and the gram on this. And the reason it's helpful, and I already got rid of it, every now and again you will find a penny where you can't read the year, and you'll want to know, without having to put it under a scope, is it copper or not? Well, if you throw it on the scale and it's around 2.5 grams, it is made of mainly zinc. However, let's pretend you couldn't read the year on this one. This is a 1981D, so that's prior to 1982, and you will see it weighs considerably more, about 3.1 grams. So we will be pulling all of our copper and keeping that separate, because copper right now is on the rise, and I hang on to all of my copper. Well, I made a mess of, I think, the 4th roll of pennies that I've been going through. Maybe it's my 5th. And hiding in here was a dime. So we're on roll number 6, and I'm bringing you in for our very first wheat penny. This is a 1941. It's in horrible shape, but it is a wheat penny and also made of copper. So we'll put that up there next to our dime. First wheat penny of technically the box. We have just a little over a box of pennies we're going through here. It's just all customer wrapped. So let's keep hunting. I believe we're on roll 8, and I'm bringing you in because a little earlier in the roll, I did find a one of the 2009. This is a Denver. It's in really awful shape. But it's the year that they did 4 commemorative Abraham Lincoln reverses. And I think this one was the professional life one, if I recall. It's in horrible shape, and I have some original bank wrap rolls of these. I'll hang on to it just so we can keep a count. But this would, in this condition, certainly go back in the bin. But a lot of people do collect these because this was a special year where they did 4 different reverses. That's not the main reason I brought you in. It's because we found wheat penny number 2. I haven't seen the year yet, so let's find out together. It is a 1951 Philly. I don't know if that's got a special or if that's got a DDO. Let's look. It does not. So nothing to check for there. It's just another wheat penny. Anyway, let's keep hunting. We're in the very next roll, and we found another wheat penny. Looks to be a 1940. And in decent shape. So we just wrapped up roll 32, and I wanted to bring you guys in. We had 2 finds in that roll. We had, let me zoom in here a little bit. We had our first foreign of all of these customer wrap rolls. It was a 1965 Canadian penny with a bunch of junk on it. So it is copper, so we'll put that up on the board for a find. We also had a pretty beat up wheat penny, a 1951D, which we'll put up on with the rest of our finds. We were in the very next roll, and it was actually an ender. I just didn't see it because it was on this side, and it was, I think, the closed end of the wrapper. But I got to the very end, and this 1944 wheat penny jumped out. So we are up to 5 wheat pennies. We have 15, actually this was the 16th to the last roll, so 15 rolls after this one. We came across another wheat penny. I haven't looked at it yet. It looks okay from the back. Let's see here. It is a 1953 wheat penny. And I also wanted to bring you in because the last couple of rolls have all produced dimes. So we are up to 3, 6, that is 7 dimes in this $27 worth of customer wrap pennies. All right, so we made it through the pennies, and I wanted to kind of end here with a recap. But we did end up with 6 wheat pennies out of $27 worth of customer wrapped rolls. That's not a great number. I think a lot of folks average 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 wheat pennies in a box, somewhere in there. So it's a little light, but we had a 40. What is that? It's a 41, a 44. We had 2 51s. We had a Philly and a Denver, and we had a 53, all wheat pennies. The 53 is in pretty good shape. The rest of them are a little beat up. We did end up with all 4 of the different Abraham Lincoln. I forget what they call them. It's basically the reverses. They did a special year where they did all 4, but we had the formative years, we had the early childhood, we had the professional life, and we had the Capitol Dome. They're not in great shape. I'll put them back in the box because I have some really nice ones in rolls from the bank. I think the real win out of that box, though, was that we ended up with 3, 6, 7, 8 dimes. So that's going to more than make up for the dimes that we were short in the previous hunt. And we did end up with 1 copper Canadian penny. Sorry for the weird cut, but I forgot to mention while wrapping up the pennies all of the copper that we found. This is about, it's between a third and a half a cup, a solo cup full of copper. I weighed it all out. It was a little over 803 grams of copper. That works out to $7.35 worth of copper we found in those pennies. So that's always exciting. And that doesn't include these wheat pennies and the Canadian. So there's probably actually a little bit more in there that we found, but not a whole lot. So there we go. So that was all of our pennies. I did organize all the rest of it up here just to give a recap of everything we saw. I did talk about these as we went through each of the denominations. The thing I'm most excited about, though, and I'm going to continue to do some research, and I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below, but this off-center strike nickel, I think, is really, really interesting, as well as these 2 off-center strike dimes. So I'm going to do a bit more research into these, and I may do a follow-up video if I find out that they're worth more than what I had initially discovered through a quick search while making this video. But this was a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing this type of video, going to the bank and just getting a bunch of different denominations. It keeps your mind sharp. It allows you to look for a lot of different things, and it's a lot of fun because I know doing half dollars over and over again can get kind of monotonous. Obviously, we didn't find any silver. I was a little hopeful in the dimes, but we didn't get there. Quarters are tough for silver these days. So anyway, this was a fun hunt. I hope you guys had fun. It might be a little bit of a long video because we did have kind of a lot of different coins to go through today. But for my first video back for 2022, I was kind of excited to do a little bit of everything. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please do now, if you're not a subscriber of the channel, please do head down below this video and hit that subscribe button. It's really easy. While you're down there, click on that like button and leave me a comment. You know, anything. If you liked it, you hated it, whatever. Love to hear from you. I look forward to doing a lot more videos here in 2022. You guys take care, and I will see you in the next one.